Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Old Time Rock and Roll. I'm your host, David Tear, where I've been featuring my personal top 3,000 countdown of roughly what I consider the top 3,000 songs of the rock era from 1954 to 1999. Today I'm up to song number 2930, and that one is Shout It Out Loud by Kiss. And this was their second top 40 hit. It came out in 1976. It was released on the album called Destroyer that came out that year. Kiss, let me give you a little bit of background on the band Kiss. They got started in 1973 in New York City. As you can see, they all like to wear this makeup and these kind of wild costumes. They had kind of a comic book theme. The original lineup included Paul Stanley, he was known as Star Child, Gene Simmons, who was known as the Demon, Ace Frehley, who was known as the Spaceman or Space Ace, and Peter Criss, who was known as the Catman. So, and they all wore makeup kind of indicating who they were. So, anyway, that was kind of their gimmick. And I don't know what kind of rock you would call them. I mean, I guess they had a lot of different names. They were obviously a hard rock band. They played pretty loud electric guitars. They had a lot of theatrics in their concerts, kind of like Alice Cooper. Um, I guess you could call them either glam rock because of their makeup. Glam rock. There was some other glam rock artists in the early to mid '70s like David Bowie and Elton John, I guess. But then there was also heavy metal. I don't think they called themselves heavy metal when it first came out because I don't think that was really a thing until the late '70s. But whatever you call them, they were a pretty wild group, and they were never one of my favorite bands. I mean, I liked some of their songs, and I guess that's why I put a few of them on my list, including this one, "Shout It Out Loud." I think I liked their first few songs the best. I mean, the first. I'll just go over what their hit songs were. They had several top 40 hits. The first one was called "Rock and Roll All Night." That came out in 1975. Kind of sounded like this one, "Shouted Out Loud." That was their second hit. And then the third one was a ballad called Beth, actually a very pretty ballad. And then they had a song called Hard Luck Woman, same year. These were all 76. 77, they had a song called Calling Dr. Love, and another one called Christine 16. And then 78, they just barely hit the top 40 with a song called Rocket Ride. And then in 79, they had a hit called I Was Made for Loving You. They all kind of sound the same. That's why I think I prefer the early ones better because they kind of use the same gimmick with most of their music. I mean, they did have that ballad Beth that didn't really sound like the other ones, but I think their other ones sounded too much the same. But then, kind of weird, what they ended up doing in 1983 was they unmasked themselves. They decided to get rid of their makeup. So, for the first time in 1983, after 10 years, they went without makeup. And then, guess what? Nobody who knew who they were because nobody had ever recognized them before with their makeup. But that was kind of their new beginning. And I'm not very familiar with the music after they got unmasked. I didn't really listen to them in the 80s or 90s. I think they're still around today, by the way. But actually did have one more top 40 hit that was called Forever. I think that even went top 10. That came out in 1990. So anyway, they were a pretty successful band and they were a very gimmicky band. And, I kind of like their music. I mean, I know they were very gimmicky and show offy, and that's kind of what glam rock and heavy metal were about. But they were entertaining. I never actually saw them in concert. But, I think they were an entertaining band, and I actually even like some of their songs. So that's my profile on Shout It Out Loud by Kiss. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.